Commander Isabella Torres stood at the helm of the ESS Horizon, watching the strange readings flicker across her quantum sensors. Something wasn't right about the way space bent around her ship. After 15 years of deep space exploration, she'd learned to trust her instincts, and right now, they were screaming that she was witnessing something unprecedented. "Commander," Lieutenant James Walsh called from the sensor station, his voice tight with confusion. "The quantum fluctuations are getting stronger. It's like space itself is learning new tricks." Before Isabella could respond, the ship's AI flagged an incoming vessel, one that hadn't been there a moment ago. The alien ship simply appeared, reminding her of old footage of soap bubbles popping into existence. It was beautiful, crystalline in structure, with what appeared to be living light coursing through transparent veins. "First contact protocol," Isabella ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Open all standard greeting channels." The response came not through conventional communications but as a holographic projection that filled the bridge. The alien that appeared was tall and ethereal, its form seeming to shift between solid and gaseous states. Its voice resonated directly in their minds. "Humans," it said, the word carrying waves of anxiety and fear. "You shouldn't be here. Your presence, it changes things." Isabella stepped forward. "I am Commander Isabella Torres of the Earth spaceship Horizon. We come in peace and seek diplomatic relations." "You don't understand," the alien continued. "Your ships, your very presence, you're changing the fundamental constants of spacetime. We've been watching your system for centuries, wondering when you'd notice what you were doing." Chief Science Officer Raj Patel moved to his station, fingers flying across holographic displays. "Commander, they're right. Our sensors are picking up systematic alterations in the quantum field surrounding our ship. But, it's not just our engines causing it. It's us. It's like we're teaching space new physics just by being here." The alien's form flickered. "Your species has spent centuries conducting what you thought were simple scientific experiments. Your particle accelerators, your quantum computers, your attempts to unify physical theories, you weren't just observing reality. You were training it, like teaching a neural network new patterns." Isabella felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying that human scientific development has been accidentally modifying the laws of physics? Your entire species emanates what we call the uncertainty field. Where you go, probability becomes fluid. Universal constants become suggestions. You're reality benders, physics breakers. And now you've brought that chaos into the wider galaxy." Lieutenant Walsh's console suddenly sparked, numbers scrolling rapidly across its surface. "Commander, the quantum fluctuations are cascading. The space around us, it's remembering the changes we've accidentally taught it." The alien's form became more agitated. "The Galactic Assembly must be notified. If human ships are now venturing beyond your solar system, the carefully maintained physics of civilized space could be corrupted. All our technology, our understanding of the universe, depends on constants remaining constant." Isabella straightened her uniform, mind racing with implications. "We can't simply stop exploring. This is who we are, what we've become without even knowing it. There must be a way to work together, to understand these effects and control them." "Control?" The alien's form pulsed with what might have been bitter amusement. "You can't control this any more than you can control evolution. Your presence has already begun changing the local spacetime fabric. Within a few light years of your course, probability fields are shifting. Quantum states are becoming creative." Raja's voice cut through the tension. "Commander, he's right. I'm detecting permanent alterations in the quantum substrate of space we've traveled through. It's like we're leaving footprints in reality itself, and those footprints are teaching space new ways to behave." Isabella turned back to the alien projection. "Then help us understand it. Work with us to dash." The hologram flickered violently. "No. We must contain this. The assembly will be notified. For the sake of all civilized species, humanity must be quarantined within its solar system before the projection cut off abruptly. They're gone, Walsh reported. Their ship just folded space around itself and vanished. Isabella stood in silence for a long moment, watching the stars through the bridge viewport. They seemed to twinkle differently now, as if she was seeing them through new eyes. Humanity had spent centuries thinking they were behind the rest of the galaxy in space travel. Now they were discovering that they weren't behind at all, they'd just been blazing a completely different trail, one that would change everything. Send a priority message to Earth Command, she ordered. Tell them we've made first contact, and we need to prepare. The galaxy isn't quite ready for humanity's version of physics, but they're about to get it anyway. As the message was sent, Isabella watched the quantum readings on her display, showing the subtle ways their ship was changing the very fabric of spacetime. Humanity had accidentally become something no one expected, teachers of a universe they thought they were only studying. The question now was whether the galaxy would accept their lessons, or try to expel the professors. Admiral Diana Santos watched the holographic display with a mixture of awe and concern as the test flight data streamed in. The experimental vessel ESS Quantum Weaver moved through space like nothing she'd ever seen before, leaving visible ripples in reality in its wake. Remarkable, Dr. Nathan Harrison murmured beside her, his dark eyes reflecting the shifting patterns of quantum distortion. We've built ships for centuries, never realizing we were actually teaching the universe new physics. Now that we're doing it intentionally. He gestured at the display where space itself seemed to fold like fabric around the test ship. The Quantum Weaver was the first vessel designed to actively harness humanity's natural reality warping effect. Its hull was covered in intricate patterns that amplified and directed the crew's unconscious ability to bend physics. What had once been an accidental side effect was now becoming a controlled science. Status report, Diana called out to the test pilot. It's incredible, Admiral, Lieutenant Victoria Chen's voice came through, filled with excitement. We're not just moving through space anymore, we're reshaping it. The quantum field manipulators are working better than we ever imagined. Watch this. The Quantum Weaver suddenly stretched like elastic before snapping to a new position 10,000 kilometers away. There was no conventional acceleration, no normal physics involved. The ship had simply taught that section of space new rules about distance and location. The aliens were right about one thing, Nathan said, checking the readings. These changes are permanent. Each time we use these abilities, we're leaving behind patches of space that remember the new physics we've taught them. It's spreading, Admiral. Like ripples in a pond, but the ripples are changes in the fundamental laws of reality. Diana nodded gravely. How are other species' ships handling these altered spaces? Not well, Nathan brought up another display showing data from their monitoring stations. Their technology is built on the assumption of unchanging universal constants. When they encounter our reality wake, their systems start failing. We've already had 3 diplomatic complaints about shipping lanes becoming unusable for conventional drives. A priority alert flashed across the main screen. Lieutenant Chen's voice came through again, this time more urgent. Admiral, we're detecting multiple ships dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system. Configuration matches Meridian vessels, the same species Commander Torres encountered. Diana straightened. First contact was less than a month ago. They're moving faster than we expected. Status of the Quantum Weaver. Ready for anything, Victoria replied. The reality manipulation systems are fully operational. Should I demonstrate our capabilities? Negative, Diana ordered. Maintain position but power up the quantum field manipulators. Let's show them we can control these abilities, but we're not looking for a fight. She turned to Nathan. How many other ships do we have ready? 3 more vessels with similar capabilities are nearly complete at the Luna shipyards. The ESS Reality Dancer, Physics Breaker, and Quantum Storm. Together with the quantum weaver, they could create reality distortion effects powerful enough to reshape physics across an entire star system. The Meridian ships moved into formation at the edge of Earth's gravity well. Their crystalline hulls sparkled in the sunlight, beautiful but clearly armed for conflict. A transmission cut through all channels, the alien voice resonating with harmonics that suggested barely controlled panic. "Attention Earth forces. We have detected your experiments with reality manipulation. The Galactic Assembly has declared these activities a threat to the stable operation of civilization itself. You will cease these activities immediately and surrender your vessels for decommissioning." Diana allowed herself a small smile. "Open a channel." When the connection was confirmed, she spoke clearly and firmly. "This is Admiral Diana Santos of the Earth Defense Fleet. We understand your concerns, but humanity will not be surrendering anything. We've spent centuries accidentally learning to bend reality. Now that we're doing it purposefully, we're discovering just how profound our capabilities are. You don't understand," the Meridian commander's voice took on a desperate edge. "Your reality manipulation is spreading. The changes you're making to spacetime are becoming self-sustaining. You're creating zones where our most basic technologies don't function. Then perhaps," Diana suggested, "it's time for your civilization to adapt. We've already proven we can control these effects. We're willing to share our understanding, to help you develop technologies that can function in these new conditions. But we will not be contained, and we will not stop exploring." The Meridian ship's energy signatures began to spike, suggesting weapon systems coming online. Diana nodded to her staff. "Lieutenant Chen, you are authorized to demonstrate our defensive capabilities. Nothing aggressive, just show them what they're dealing with." The quantum weaver pulsed with energy, its quantum field manipulators creating visible distortions in spacetime. Around the ship, reality began to twist and fold, probability itself becoming fluid. The Meridian vessel's weapon systems flickered and died as the space around them stopped following their understood laws of physics. "This is your only warning," Diana transmitted. "Humanity is ready to join the galactic community, but we will not be joining as subordinates. We are reality shapers now, whether we intended to be or not. You can either work with us to understand these new capabilities, or you can watch as your understanding of physics becomes increasingly obsolete." The Meridian ships hung in space for a long moment before their engines flared to life, carrying them back to the system's edge. As they retreated, Nathan checked his readings and whistled softly. The reality wake from that demonstration, it's going to take their scientists years to understand what just happened to local spacetime. We didn't just show them our power, Admiral. We just gave their section of space a permanent physics update. Diana watched the aliens depart, knowing this was just the beginning. "Send word to Luna shipyards. I want those other ships completed as soon as possible. The galaxy's about to change, Dr. Harrison, whether it wants to or not. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." Behind her, the quantum readings continued to spike as space itself learned new tricks from humanity's presence, spreading ripples of change through the cosmos one light-year at a time. The grand chamber of the Galactic Assembly stretched impossibly high, its crystalline walls shifting with colors that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. Ambassador Marcus Reeves stood alone on the speaking platform, facing thousands of alien representatives from across the known galaxy. The tension in the chamber was palpable. "The Assembly calls this emergency session to order," announced the speaker, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate metallic frame. "We will address the crisis of Earth's reality warping capabilities." Marcus straightened his diplomatic uniform, keeping his expression neutral. Around him, delegates from 100 species shifted uncomfortably as their sensors detected the subtle reality distortions that emanated from his mere presence. Humanity's effect on spacetime had grown stronger as they'd learned to control it. "Honorable delegates," he began, "Earth understands your concerns about our unique capabilities. However, we must emphasize that these abilities are not technology we can simply deactivate. They are fundamental to who we have become as a species. A Volith representative rose, its crystalline form refracting light in angry patterns. Your species' evolution is destroying the fabric of civilized space. Our long-range sensors can no longer function reliably. Transportation networks are failing as physics itself becomes unpredictable. You're corrupting the very constants that our civilization is built upon. Before Marcus could respond, his secure quantum communicator vibrated. The message from Admiral Santos was brief but urgent: test flight successful. Reality Dancer just reshaped an entire asteroid field. Changes permanent. Assembly sensors will detect it in 3, 2, 1. The chamber erupted in chaos as the data reached their systems. Marcus could see the fear and anger rippling through the assembled delegates. The speaker's energy form flared brightly, calling for order. Ambassador Reeves, the speaker's voice resonated through the chamber, our sensors detect a massive reality distortion event in your home system. Explain. That, Marcus said calmly, was a scheduled test of our new reality dancer vessel. One of 4 ships we've constructed to actively control our reality-shaping abilities. As you can see, we're making significant progress in understanding and directing these effects. This is intolerable. A Meridian delegate's crystalline form vibrated with distress. You're not just affecting local space anymore. These distortions are spreading, teaching reality itself new behaviors. The corruption will reach our core worlds within decades. The speaker's energy field pulsed with what Marcus had learned to recognize as grave concern. The Assembly has reached a decision, Ambassador. Earth must cease all reality manipulation activities immediately. Your ships will be confined to your home system, and your species will be quarantined until we can find a way to neutralize these reality warping effects. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine, but kept his voice steady. And if we refuse? Then the combined fleet of the Assembly will enforce the quarantine. We cannot allow your chaos to spread further. A new message flashed on Marcus's communicator: Reality Dancer, Quantum Storm, and Physics Breaker all operational. Full battle group assembled. Awaiting your signal. Admiral Santos. Marcus took a deep breath. Honored Speaker, distinguished delegates, I must inform you that any attempt to enforce a quarantine will be met with resistance. We've spent the last 3 months developing our capabilities. Would you like to see what our ships can do when they work together? The threat hung in the air like a physical thing. The Assembly delegates murmured amongst themselves, their various sensor systems detecting new ripples of distortion emanating from Earth's direction. You would risk galactic war. The speaker's voice held genuine confusion. Your ships, however unusual, cannot stand against the combined might of all civilized species. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Our ships don't need to fight yours, honored Speaker. They simply need to change the rules that your ships operate under. The recent test you detected? That was one ship working alone. We have 4 now, working in concert. Would you like to see what happens to a sector of space when we really start teaching it new tricks? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just breaking physics anymore, they were actively rewriting it, and the changes were becoming permanent. The Assembly will recess to consider this development, the Speaker announced, its energy form fluctuating with obvious distress. As the delegates filed out, Marcus received one final message: Battle Group reports reality manipulation field now extends 10 light-years. Affected space showing stable quantum reorganization. No sign of decay in the changes. We're ready if needed. Santos. Marcus stared up at the impossibly tall chamber walls, wondering if the Assembly would choose diplomacy or conflict. Either way, humanity was past the point of no return. They had spent centuries accidentally teaching reality new physics. Now they were doing it purposefully, and the universe was proving to be an eager student. The question was no longer whether the galaxy would change, but how much chaos would ensue before the other species accepted that their understanding of physics was about to undergo a dramatic revision. Humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community, they were rewriting its most fundamental rules, one light-year at a time. The holographic battle map aboard the ESS Quantum Weaver showed the approaching assembly fleet as a cloud of red markers, nearly 1,000 ships strong. Captain Olivia Reed watched them advance, her expression grim but determined. The combined might of 20 different alien civilizations was bearing down on Earth, intent on containing what they saw as humanity's corruption of physics itself. "Battle group status," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension. "Reality dancer and physics breaker in position," Lieutenant Kai Nakamura reported from Tactical. "Quantum storm maintaining rear guard. All ships report reality manipulation systems at full power. The space around us. Captain, it's already starting to learn new tricks." Olivia nodded, watching the quantum readings. The mere presence of 4 human ships working in concert was causing visible distortions in spacetime. Reality itself seemed to ripple around them like water disturbed by stones. "Message from Admiral Santos," Communications Officer David Patel announced. "The Assembly has rejected our final diplomatic proposal. They're demanding immediate surrender and deactivation of all reality warping capabilities." "They still don't understand," Olivia muttered. "We couldn't stop warping reality if we wanted to. It's part of who we are now." She straightened in her command chair. "Signal the battle group. Initialize the Mobius protocol." The 4 Earth ships moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum field manipulators pulsing with energy. Space began to fold and twist around them in ways that should have been impossible. The approaching assembly fleet suddenly slowed as their sensors encountered physics they couldn't comprehend. "Enemy fleet is launching their first wave," Kai reported. "Energy weapons charging, they're firing." Olivia allowed herself a small smile. "Show them why that was a mistake." The combined reality warping field of the Earth ships surged. The incoming energy beams curved and twisted, following paths that violated every known law of physics. Some looped back on themselves, others simply vanished into probability spaces that shouldn't exist. "Phase 1 complete," Kai announced. "Local space is now operating under our rules. Their weapons can't function in the altered physics." The assembly fleet's formation began to break apart as their ships struggled with the changing reality around them. Engines designed for normal spacetime sputtered and failed. Navigation systems returned impossible readings as distance and direction became fluid concepts. "They're launching fighters," David reported. "Thousands of them, wait." He paused, checking his readings. "The fighters, they're dissolving. The changed physics is affecting their atomic bonds." Olivia activated the fleet-wide channel. "This is Captain Reed to Assembly Forces. Your smaller craft cannot maintain structural integrity in altered spacetime. Withdraw them immediately if you want to save your pilots." The fighter squadrons hastily retreated, leaving the capital ships to face Earth's reality-warping battle group alone. The assembly fleet's commander responded, their translated voice carrying equal parts fear and awe. "What have you done to local space? Our most basic systems are failing. This violates every principle of physics we know." "That's exactly the point," Olivia replied. "We're not breaking your physics, we're teaching space new physics. And unlike your ships, ours are designed to work with these changes." She nodded to Kai. "Demonstrate Phase 2. The 4 Earth ships pulsed again, their reality-warping fields synchronizing in a complex pattern. Space itself seemed to shudder. Probability became fluid, quantum states that should have been fixed began to fluctuate wildly. The assembly fleet's advanced technology, dependent on precise physical laws, started to break down. "Their ships are losing power," Kai reported with a note of amazement. "The changed physics is making their energy generation impossible. They can't maintain their shields or weapons. Final warning to assembly forces, Olivia broadcast. Your ships cannot function in this altered space. Every moment you remain here, the changes become more permanent. This sector will never return to what you consider normal physics. Withdraw now, or watch your fleet become floating monuments to the old laws of physics. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the assembly ships began to retreat, their engines struggling against space that no longer behaved the way it should. They left behind a sector of permanently altered spacetime, a testament to humanity's ability to reshape reality itself. Message from Admiral Santos, David announced. She says, "Well done. The Assembly Council is reconvening for emergency negotiations. They're finally ready to talk about coexistence rather than containment." Olivia watched the quantum reading stabilize, showing the permanent changes they'd made to local spacetime. Humanity had just won its first major confrontation without firing a single conventional weapon. They had simply changed the rules that reality played by. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "Tell them the demonstration was successful. The galaxy now understands that they can't contain us. The question is whether they're ready to learn from us." As the battle group maintained position, reality itself continued to ripple around them, learning and remembering new ways to behave. The age of unchanging physical constants was over. The era of fluid physics had begun, and humanity was its architect. The observation deck of Harmony Station hung in space at the boundary between normal and altered physics. Through its transparent walls, Ambassador Marcus Reeves could see the literal divide in reality, one side where space behaved according to the old, rigid laws, and the other where humanity's new physics held sway. The sight still amazed him, even 6 months after the failed assembly invasion. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Admiral Diana Santos joined him at the viewport, her uniform bearing the new insignia of the Joint Physics Council. "Our scientists say the boundary is actually teaching both sides new things. The old physics and the new are creating something entirely unexpected where they meet. Like humanity and the assembly finding a way to coexist." Marcus smiled. "The latest reports show another dozen species requesting access to the altered space zones for research purposes." Below them, a massive Meridian research vessel carefully navigated the boundary. Its crystalline structure sparkled as it passed from one physics regime to another, its modified systems adapting to the change. It was one of hundreds of alien ships learning to operate in humanity's new reality. Administrator Reeves, the station's AI announced, "The council session will begin in 5 minutes." The Joint Physics Council chamber was a marvel of hybrid engineering, designed to function in both traditional and altered spacetime. Representatives from 30 species sat in a circle, their various environmental needs accommodated by reality warping fields that created localized zones of customized physics. First speaker Lasara, the energy being who had once threatened to quarantine Earth, now hovered at the center of the chamber. "The Council recognizes Earth's delegation. Admiral Santos, please present your report on the expansion project." Diana stepped forward, activating a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Patches of blue indicated zones of altered physics, spreading out from Earth in a careful, controlled pattern. "Phase 3 of the controlled reality expansion is proceeding as planned," she reported. "We've established stable corridors of altered space connecting major trade routes. Species who wish to continue operating under traditional physics can use the unaltered spaces between these corridors. Those who want to explore the possibilities of fluid physics can utilize the altered zones." "And the training program," a Volith representative asked, their crystalline form now modified to function in both physics regimes. "The first class of non-human reality warping pilots graduates next month," Diana answered. "They're already showing remarkable adaptation to the new physics. Some have even begun developing techniques we hadn't considered." Marcus watched the assembly with pride. 6 months ago, these same species had been ready to go to war to stop humanity's influence on reality. Now they were eager students, learning to navigate and even manipulate the new physics themselves. We have a new request, Lasara announced. The Meridian Science Academy believes they've found a way to create controlled zones of hybrid physics, spaces where both traditional and fluid physics can coexist in stable patterns. They're requesting Earth's assistance in testing their theory. Of course, Diana nodded. That's exactly the kind of cooperation we hoped for. We never wanted to replace the old physics entirely, we wanted to expand the possibilities. A junior aide rushed into the chamber, handing Marcus a data pad. He read it quickly, his eyes widening. Speaker Lasara, I have an urgent update. Our deep space sensors have detected something unexpected. The altered physics zones are starting to exhibit signs of consciousness. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Lasara's energy form pulsed with interest. Explain. It appears that by teaching spacetime new rules, we've inadvertently taught it to think, Marcus continued. The zones of altered physics are beginning to evolve on their own, developing new properties we didn't design. Reality itself is learning to be creative. Diana stepped forward. We're already detecting similar phenomena in the boundary regions. Spacetime isn't just accepting our changes anymore, it's starting to experiment with its own variations. The universe is becoming alive. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just changed the rules of physics, they had awakened something far more profound. The boundary between consciousness and reality itself was beginning to blur. Then we stand at a new threshold, Lasara declared. Not just of physics, but of existence itself. The question is no longer whether to accept these changes, but how to guide them responsibly. Marcus looked out at the assembled representatives, seeing not fear but excitement in their various forms of expression. That's why this council exists, he said. Not to control reality, but to learn with it. We're all students now, and the universe itself has become our teacher. Outside the station, space continued to ripple and shift, creating patterns that had never existed before. Humanity had set out to explore the stars, never expecting that they would end up teaching reality itself how to dream. As the council chamber filled with excited discussion of new possibilities, Marcus smiled. The age of rigid physics was over. The era of infinite possibility had begun. And somewhere in the depths of altered space, reality itself was learning to wonder what it might become next.